people. Peace, good people. I'm a minute late. But I'm getting used to this. I'm going live thing on a consistent basis. We'll see what happens. Um, SAYSFLEX, that's what's popping. Just sitting here in the studio at the Words, Beats, and Life studio, drinking some water. I was just in the Words, Beats, and Life candy stash. Words, Beats, and Life got a big candy stash. I was just in there. Had some Starburst and an Airhead, and I got two Starburst. I got a lot of yellow Starburst. I think that's a bad sign, right? I got like two yellow Starbursts in there. I don't know. It's a bad look. But really, I'm just sitting here contemplating. Really contemplating. I was listening to music. I'm always listening to music, and I spent I said it last time. I've been going back and listening to just stuff that I haven't listened to before, and a lot of '90s stuff and current stuff, But when I was younger, I didn't really have money. I didn't really have money for music or albums. When I actually got into hip hop, I really didn't have money, So I was just making mixtapes off what my friends had, copying their albums, stuff like that, because I didn't have money. And before I got into hip hop, music wasn't really my thing like that. I was into video games and playing sports and football cards. I was really big into football cards. I still have my football card collection to this day from the 80s up until now. I still have them. So now with technology and everything that exists, right? I've gone back and I'm just listening to so much stuff. Like I'm just listening to so much stuff, and I never know what I'm going to listen to. But I found myself listening to Fat Joe's album. I say it as if he only has one. He has a pretty extensive catalog. Fat Joe, believe it or not, I know he's like a commentator now and does interviews and things of that nature and tells like really like crazy stories. I don't know if they're true or not. If they are true, he needs to make a movie. Um, but that aside, his catalog is pretty healthy. It's pretty dope. And I got a chance to listen to his album, Jealous One's Envy. And it's interesting listening to Jealous One's Envy because I never heard it. It came out in 94, right? It came out in 94. I don't know what my man is talking about, but God bless you, James. God bless you. But Jealous One's Envy is an interesting album because you hear a lot of what's to come in terms of Fat Joe's trajectory and what his career will be in terms not as in total, but in maybe like 5 and 6, 7 years, you can hear it in that album. You can hear it because it introduces. I don't know if it introduces, right? I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if it introduces um, Big Pun, but that's my first time hearing Big Pun on wax, right? That's my first time hearing Big Pun on wax. I do believe it's one of the most hidden gems on the album, but it's only a hidden gem because of right now, right? It's only a hidden gem because Big Pun is who he is right now. Peace up, Jay Bry. Hi, what up, what up? What's rocking with you? So it's so interesting in terms of like what it is and what it isn't. So shout out to that. But if Big Pun doesn't become Big Pun, then he's just another dope rapper on Fat Joe's album. But because Big Pun becomes what he becomes, it's this hidden gem for listeners who don't know the history of Fat Joe, the history of Big Pun, and how Big Pun met Fat Joe, how Fat Joe met Big Pun at a rap cipher, and Fat Joe, they're at a rap cipher, and Big Pun comes up, you know what I'm saying, is waiting for his turn, and starts rhyming, and Fat Joe's blown away, right? So if you know the story of how those two connected, how they linked up, this discovering that Big Pun is on this album, to me, right, was a hidden gem, and I was thoroughly surprised. Also, like I said, it is it's the beginning of things for Fat Joe. So it's like it introduces Terror Squad. Now, right? For those who didn't know, right? Terror Squad turned out to be this really dope rap group. Raekwon does have a new album. I need to check it out. My boy told me to check it out. But Raekwon also has a verse on this album. He doesn't have a verse, but he has a hook. I'll get to that later though. But he announces Terror Squad, bro. Like he announces Terror Squad, and like if Fat Joe stops rapping after this album, none of this doesn't even matter, right? Doesn't even matter. So he shouts out Terror Squad on a song called "Say Word," and "Say Word, Say Word." It's okay. It's a good song. Overall, if I'm copying the sources, the Source magazine and their rating system, I give this album a 4 mics. I don't know if the Source gave this album a 4 mics, but this album's a solid 4 mics. And because I was listening to this album, as I began to listen to this album, I recognize, I've heard this album. I have heard this album, like, not in its full capacity, but from mixtapes, from DJs playing at parties. I've heard these songs, and minus the Big Pun one, where he also introduces Armageddon, which is also from Terror Squad. I mean, the whole thing is just mind blowing. Like when you listen to this album, and if you're a hip hop fan, all of these things come into play. All of these things come into play, and it's just a marvelous, marvelous, marvelous thing. And like you love it. You're going to love this album. I promise you. If you're a '90s fan and you like finding hidden gems about rap albums, then you'll really love it. Jealous One's Envy. KRS-One is the first voice you hear on the album. He's also the album's on Columbia Records, which is a subsidiary of Sony Records, and it's also on Relativity Records. So it's a lot of thought, there's a lot of dopeness, that a lot of like powerhouses from that time that are in that have their hands in this project, right? So that's kind of cool, right? So KRS-One is the first voice you hear on this album, and I was like trying to figure out, like, why? Why is he the first voice on this album? KRS-One is from the Bronx. Fat Joe is from the Bronx. So it makes sense. Hip hop started in the Bronx, right? So it makes sense. Sedgwick Avenue, right? So it makes sense, after I drew that correlation. So like that was kind of cool. And if in my opinion, right, this is like 94, 95. This is KRS-One, in my opinion, right? The 90s, I want to say the 90s is when KRS-One was at his best. No disrespect to Chris, right? Please, no disrespect. I hope he doesn't take it the wrong way if he stumbles across this. But I really felt like Chris was in his bag in the 90s, crushing it, sharp, polished. Now, I personally believe his live show is better now than in the 90s. That's just my opinion. It's just my opinion, right? Because I don't know anybody at his level who freestyles on live shows as much as he does and crushes it consistently. Doesn't have any repeat words, no fallback lines. Like he's a very sharp rapper, man. For his age to come out when he came out To be still doing it at that time, very, very polished, very sharp. Um, that's not the case with most like lyricists from that time, right? So shout out to Chris and Big Daddy Kane and rappers like that who still are very polished when it comes to their skill set. But they kill it on that. They kill it on that song. This dude named James Bry, James Flames, who was half cool, half troll. But he mentioned Raekwon has an album. That's cool. I appreciate that. Raekwon does have an album, new album out. I haven't checked it out, but my boy said it's dope. It's on Massive Pill Records. That's Nas's record label or imprint. I don't know if that's an indie label or if that's a subsidiary of something else. If it was a subsidiary of a major label, probably Sony, because Nas has been on Columbia for forever. I don't know if he ever got off or anything like that. But Raekwon is on his album, and he's not. It would have been cheaper, right? It would have been cheaper for them to just scratch his voice in, while Raekwon is uttering his word, a quote from his verse off Queens. And not Queens, but Cream. And Raekwon is actually saying the phrase. They could have just scratched it in and been much cheaper, maybe signed a percentage deal, give them da 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 da, da, right? Give them like 25%, 20%, whatever. Um, I do believe I do believe Nas might have 25% or 50% of the song Dead Presidents from by Jay-Z, which was negotiated by Searchlight Publishing, which is, oh God, the rapper from Third Base, the white guy with the glasses who's super cool. I can't think of his name right now. My brain is freezing. But MC Search. I'm Searchlight Production, Searchlight. MC Search negotiated for Nas to have, I think it's 25 or 50% of Dead Presidents, because the hook is Nas' voice is in the hook. You made it a hot line. You had a hot line and made it a hot verse, a song, or whatever the case may be. Song, quote by Jay, and so it would have been easy for them to do that with Raekwon, but they didn't do that. Raekwon is actually on the song, and he introduces the song and is saying saying the line as the hook, which is kind of cool because I'm like, and I'm interested in rappers and how they form these friendships and how they form these alliances. And I do remember an interview with Fat Joe, right? Fat Joe was like, rappers used to be really close in New York. Like rappers used to be really close. And if you know something from the 90s, if you watched a lot of music videos, other rappers were always in other rappers' videos because they would be like, yo, Joe was like, this is how we showed up for each other. This is how we supported each other. This is how we supported one another. We're always showing up in other people's rap videos. So it's cool to see these things like take place and see them, happen in real time. Not in real time, but at the time it happened. So like that's a cool thing to watch, and that's a cool thing to check out. So shout out to Raekwon. I don't know how they met, but I'd be really interested to see or to learn how that relationship started. And so like that was cool. I do shout out to the Beat Nuts. Beat Nuts did crazy work on this album. Crazy work, good stuff. Shout out to Domingo. Domingo did great work on this album. I do think oh, shout out to DITC because Fat Joe is a part of DITC for those who don't know that. I do think my favorite song, I don't know what my favorite song is. I do think there's a song called Success. Success is Fly. I gave that 4 flames. I gave that 4 flames. I'm looking at my notes now. I gave that 4 flames. The song, and it's a video, they gave a video for it. The song I liked the least is a song called Envy. I did not like that song, Envy. I don't know um, if it's the hook, the R&B hook, because in that time, right, in the 90s, mid 90s, right, you had to have an R&B singer on the hook for labels to be like giving you prop, to be like putting stuff out as the single sometimes, which is you have stuff like MVP by Big L, which is like one of my favorite, and coincidentally, Big L is part of the same clique, DITC, digging in the crates. He was the youngest member, God rest his soul, and but he was he was one of my influences at that time, and showing me that, oh, you can be young and like get a record deal and crush it and do your thing like that. You know, like I didn't know that was possible. I just thought that, oh, I'm rapping in this trailer park. I was living in a trailer park at that time in Kansas when I started rapping. And I was just like, oh, I'm rapping. I'm rapping. Oh, you can get a record deal and be like a teenager? Oh, I didn't know that. You know, like I knew about Crisscross, but when I learned an ABC, Another Bad Creation, those things weren't like when I started actually rapping, like I was looking at real rappers, right? Real rappers, because Crisscross didn't write their rhymes. Jermaine Dupri did. I don't know if I don't think Another Bad Creation wrote their rhymes. I would have to double check that. Wouldn't surprise me if there were people from Belle Biv DeVoe writing their rhymes, or somebody in that thing, in that whirlpool of creativity, right? Writing their rhymes. It wouldn't surprise me if that was the thing. But but the song Envy has an R&B singer on it, and I don't like the singing. Uh, it's not that she can't sing, I just don't like the hook. And I was listening to it and I was trying to debate, is that the same sample, right? That I don't know if it is. It's probably not. You need to. I dig in the crates, but not like that. Like I just like records. I wonder if it's the same sample from Fast Life, right? From by Cool G Rap and Nas. And so I wonder if that's the same sample. I was listening to it. I didn't dig deeper enough. Um, but I was wondering, but this is a controversial, every time I tell people this, they say I'm crazy. When it comes to that song Fast Life by Nas and Cool G Rap, I hate that beat. I really hate that beat. I hate that beat. And I just think it's atrocious. I think it's corny. I don't like it. Um, but the remix, and I'm pretty sure it's done by DJ Premier. Uh, Listen, that remix is crazy. The Fast Life remix with Cool G Rap and Nas. Yo, when I first stumbled across that, shout out to my man Damu the Fudge Monk. He put me onto that. I was like, yo, this is superior rapping right here. Like, yo, this is like superior rapping. I was just like, yo, this is crazy. Like hearing Cool G rap, and once again, Cool G Rap is one of those rappers, in my opinion. Yo, in the late '80s, early '90s, this Bama was pristine. Like probably in his rap style, right? It's like, what are we on? Like, this dude ain't human, bro. Like, super sharp, super dope, super crazy. Like, like I thought it was phenomenal. I, to this day, I still listen to that. I probably listen to that like a couple times a month because I'm just like in awe. Like, I listen to that, man. I got to step my game up as an artist, as a rapper, as a creative, you know? So I'm just going on and on about this album, Jealous One's Envy by Fat Joe. Um, yeah, I got all kinds of notes here, but I'm just going off the beaten path because the album was really good. Um, but what else is my favorite? I do think my favorite song, right? I don't like to cuss. I don't like to cuss, right? But probably my favorite song, it's a tie, right? It's a tie between Part Deuce and or Deuce, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Or Shit Is Real, right? Now in the 90s, right? Particularly 94, 95, 96. there were rappers, and the slogan was, "We gotta keep it real. Shit is real. We gotta keep it real. We gotta keep it real." And that was thing everybody was on. We gotta keep it real. Everybody was gotta keep it real. And so if you ever decide to go back into the 90s discographies, you're always going to come across a song on most rappers talk about the title "The Real" or "Shit is Real" or "What's up with the real" or "That ain't real." It's corny, right? It's corny. It's mad corny. It's dumb corny. It's stupid corny, but it's corny nonetheless. However, this song "Shit is Real" is dope. It's really dope, and it's produced by DJ Premier, and I like it. I like it a lot. It's awesome. It's the remix also, and I don't know what the original sounds like, but I don't care what the original sounds like because the remix is so dope. But I need to dive deeper and find out what the remix sounds like. Shout out to Rachel Taylor. What she say? Sometimes the remix is an upgrade. Sometimes the remix is a solid upgrade. And it's interesting because my father, who is a preacher, I was talking to him about releasing my first album. He said, "Well, you gotta, he's a preacher and he's not in the music industry, but he's given me probably the best advice about music and releasing music." He said, "Well, once it's out there, you can't unrelease it. So you better release the best parts." And I was just like, "You're right. You can't unrelease it, right? So once it's out there, it's out there, you know." Oh, shout out for those tuning in. My name is Flex Mathews. If you don't know me, my name is Flex Mathews. The show is called SAYSFLEX. And I'm just here talking about hip hop and albums and the things that I stumbled across in music. But this is a good album. Now there is a major downside, right? There's a major downside to this album, a major downside. Here is the downside of the album, and let me take a sip of water. Let me take a sip of water for this. This is the downside. As much as this album is dope, the downside is Fat Joe says the N word a lot on this album. N word that ends with the A, right? He says it a lot. And I forgot how much rappers in the 90s, right, really used the N word a lot. And maybe they're still using it a lot now. I don't know. The music I listen to is these days is so different. I'm listening to Fifth Dimension. I might listen to Layla Hathaway. I might listen to Donna Summers. I'm listening to Bob Marley, bro. Like, I'm listening to so much music. So maybe rappers are saying the N-word in excess like they did in the 90s. I don't know. But I noticed that in this album. And I was like, dang. I thought I was like, it's like maybe here, maybe there, whatever, right? Whatever, right? And then Joe is just letting it fly, just letting it fly. Now, he was younger, so maybe things were different. But my man was just letting it fly. And I was just like, all right, so we letting it fly. We letting it fly is what we doing. We letting it fly. But that's crazy. At his big age, I'm gonna need. I mean, the album is old, Rachel. The album's old. It's from 1994. So I imagine he was probably like, if I was 14, I was 14 in 1994. So he was probably 20 something, 19, 20 something. No, it wasn't 19. Probably like in his early 20s, right? Yeah, it's an older album. Yeah, it's an older album. I don't know his new stuff, but Fat Joe still uses the N word. Don't he still uses the N word. If you watch his interviews, he still uses the N word. Now he uses it a lot less. He uses it a hell of a lot less than when he used to. You know, granted, he grew up in the South Bronx. He's from the Bronx, so life was different. You know, life was different. So I get it. You know, I know. I know that feeling. I can't listen to what I used to. You know, I, I, I still listen to certain things because my biggest weakness is nostalgia. Like, my biggest weakness is nostalgia. Nostalgia is probably like my major flaw. I love nostalgia, and but it doesn't hinder me from exploring new music, right? The same day I listened to Fat Joe's album, I listened to The Carters, which is not a new album, but it's a newer album, which is Jay-Z and Beyonce's album together, which I was going to also speak on that today, but I didn't. I'll probably speak on that next time. But I'm always diving and trying to find new music. And I think that's important as you're a fan of hip hop. People are always like, there ain't no more new music. There ain't no more good music. There's no more good music. And the sad part is there's good music everywhere. There's so much good music right now. However, there's a lot of bad music. So you just have to sift. But there's so much good music. As of right now, we just don't have the radio isn't feeding us the good music like it used to when we were younger. And we don't have TV shows like Rap City and Yo MTV Raps to feed us the music that certain avenues used to feed us in those moments. Do you think if a person is a great lyricist and the N word can be ignored, or does it have to be the same thing? I mean, listen, the N word. Did I still keep listening to Fat Joe's album? I did. I kept listening to Fat Joe's album. Um, did it take a little bit away from me because the N word was so prevalent in the album? I did. I was like, ah, this is a lot, you know. But if I would have listened to it in '94, I probably would have ignored all of it and be like, "Oh, he's killing it," because I was using the N word so prevalently. I use the N word now, and I'm trying. I don't use it in my music, but I use it in my speech, and I'm definitely trying to like get it out of my speech for the most part. You dig? But it's like if they use it now, I'm just like, yeah, I'ma listen. You feel me? But the rappers I listen to these days don't really use it in their songs. I don't know about if they use it in their actual vocabulary, but I know I choose not to put it in my music, but I'll still listen to a rapper if they put the N word in their song. I don't really have an issue with it. It's not enough to been. It's not enough to be like to keep me from listening to the album, but it's something that I notice. I'll notice because I'm a fan. I like words. I love words, and words will keep me from. I'll be like, oh, he said 9 millimeter a lot. Oh, he said the word I a lot in this album. Oh, he said the word you a lot in this album. Or he had a lot of conjunctions on that album. So I'm like studying what these rappers are saying, what they're doing, because I study my own stuff the same way. And I'm trying to do better and listen and see how I can grow and be inspired, you know? I've been hearing about Tyler, the Creator's latest. I haven't listened to his album yet. Well, Rachel, Tyler's last album was amazing. Tyler's been on a good, like, 2 album run, in my opinion. Good 2 album run. I don't know about this next album, but here's the deal. I haven't listened to the other albums, but I just know the last 2 albums I heard, wow, perfect, magnifique, and it's good to hear Tyler evolve because he's a student of the game. He's a student of the craft, and there's nothing wrong with being a student of the craft and being a student of something you love. So like I can always appreciate somebody who's in love with what they're in love with and is a fan and knowledgeable of what they're in love with. There's so many people who are in love with things that aren't knowledgeable about things. Aren't People are in love with stuff, but they aren't knowledgeable about the things that they're in love with, and that's cool. You can just be in love with something. That's okay. But if you're knowledgeable about the thing that you're in love with, I'm all right with that. Like that to me, that's like, oh, this person is invested. This guy, this gal, this whatever they identify as, but they're invested. So I'm cool. Like, so drop some knowledge on me, school me, drop a gem on me, like put me onto some game. I need to learn something. I need to evolve. I need to grow. I'm not above reproach. I'm not above making mistakes, and most people are ignorant to most things. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, put me on to something. Like, so shout out to Tyler. I'll probably listen to his album. Thank you for putting that in the comments, Rachel. I appreciate that. I'll dive into that. Once again, my name is Flex Mathews. If you want to follow me on Instagram. Also, this is my second time going live, so I'm kind of like getting things mixed up. Make sure you subscribe, click the follow button. I'm supposed to say those things. But I forget to say those things. So click, subscribe, follow. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Flex Mathews, FlexMathews, and that's Matthews spelled with one T, because I didn't know you spelled Matthews with two T's when I was 17 and I came up with the name. So there you go. I should know Matthews is spelled with two T's because my parents are preachers and Matthew is a book in the Bible. So I should know that, but I didn't know that because I did not read the Bible at that time. I read it now, but I didn't read it at that time. So that's just kind of where I'm at in my vocabulary, but I'm not going to go back and change it because I've been using the name since 1997. I've been writing the name. So that's where we at with the name, and I'm not going to change it. Sometimes I think about going to my birth name, but I'm not going to go to my birth name. I'll just keep it Flex Mathews as of right now, anyway. But anywho, that is my time. Rachel, thank you for sticking around. I appreciate the questions and the comments, and for saying something about Tyler's album. I need to go listen to that. I really appreciate that. I'm here every Thursday at 9 p.m. The show is called SAYSFLEX. I'm representing for Words, Beats, and Life. We're a hip-hop nonprofit organization bringing arts programming to young people all across D.C., Maryland, and some places in Virginia. Like, we have free rap classes, free breakdancing classes, free graffiti classes, photography classes, DJing classes, comic book drawing classes, manga classes. The list goes on and on and on and on. The free classes that we offer to young people. So that's what I'm repping for, and I'll always be repping for that because it's a good thing and good things are done. You know what I'm saying? Thank you. I appreciate that, Rachel. We'll see how long I can keep it up, but this is pretty fun. I want to figure out how to get guests on the show. I don't know how to get guests on the show, but I got to figure out how to do that. I wanted to interview my boy Artemis today, and we were going to talk about Fat Joe's album together. But maybe him and I could go live on my Instagram page and talk about that and see what's going on with that. Who knows? But once again, thank you, Rachel, for sticking around, and everybody else who stuck around. I appreciate that. My name is Flex Mathews. I got gray hairs and I got nappy hair, and I'm about to go home and probably make a smoothie and maybe eat some jalapeno potato chips and do some rapping myself. I got a studio session coming up, so I got to practice. But that's it, though. Just take care of yourselves. God bless. Be safe out there. Be kind to other people. Don't just be kind to the people who are kind to you, because anybody can be nice to anybody who's nice to them. But can you be nice to the people who aren't nice to you, right? So spread love. Drink plenty of water. Don't pet no stray dogs. And y'all be safe. One love. Peace.